GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And I think if it's working, welcome everybody to our traditional Sunday night bracket. I'm trying to do two things at the same time. I don't think it's working very good, but sent out a bunch of invites this evening, as we normally do, letting people know that this is a time to get together and just kind of chat. Something that's not necessarily, well, I guess it can be a little controversial, but it's nothing consequential. Just something to chat about, something we all have opinions on. And I'm thinking maybe we can use this as a way to invite and encourage participation between different activists, people who may know each other, may have worked or want to know each other, but give them a chance to just chat kind of off the clock about, in this case, everyday carry. Maybe we'll do it about restaurant stuff. Kind of depends on who shows up and how long we go. I still got a couple more. I thought I was done being able to try to do just at the same time here. Essentially, I have a bunch of pictures that the robots gave, and I can't do them because of my other things are too big. Now I think close this window and I can finally get to the last thing I've been trying to do, which is click on this button and open up this and grab all of these ones I just got done editing and bring these up. These are now uploading into StreamYard, which is StreamYard a robot? I don't know. We'll ask Gizzard here in a second. Thanks for everybody who's joining us in this exploration of a new project that's developing here. And of course, if you're watching live, you're welcome to be part of this whole thing. That's what it's all about. We go live. We don't create, we don't create produced videos. So I'm not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to do stuff. And we'd rather do stuff together with other people than just do it in front of people. So with that in mind, Woods is out there from the PNW, as some of us would call it. And he's an advocate of the bacon. Is this even working? My computer is so glitchy right now. Am I talking to my wall or is this actually going out?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So now I believe I can flip over to here. Oh no, what happened? I guess it can only take a couple at a time because of probably I'm trying to move a bunch of files essentially on my computer, which is a dumb move right before the show started, but yeah, live and learn. So I think what happens is it's can only take a couple of these pictures at a time. I'm trying to upload 6. So let me shut up and say hey to Gizzard. Thanks for jumping in. Give a chance to say what's up, and if you want to take the mic for any amount of time, feel free.
Well, hey, thanks for the invite. Yeah, I see Woods Defense Dad's out there. So far, I sent a link on my community tab. Hopefully, maybe get a few more people in here. So I know it's a Sunday night and people got to get ready for work in the morning. At least those of us who are not retired. But yeah, jump in, say hi if you're out there, and I don't know how many people are watching. I don't have the YouTube side up. So
about 1,300 people right now
are watching this. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I think I've figured out, and now I've of course uploaded duplicates of everything because of the way my computer's glitching. But thanks for joining us, Gizzard. And like I say, I didn't say maybe. I've sent out links to a whole bunch of different people. People that I've invited to other things in the past, people that have been on for interviews or probably been on both of our shows before. And then some people who I don't invite very often, just to put a bunch of invites out there. And again, kind of start the ball rolling on this idea of on Sunday evenings, getting together to chat informally, loosely about, adjacent things to guns, maybe sports, maybe hunting, that kind of stuff. And then bring advocates together, though, give them a chance to chat. And then, me, that means off air, they have the chance to get together and, follow up or whatever they need to do off air, which is never a bad idea, never a bad thing, I should say, when advocates, people that are doing stuff out there, get a chance to figure out what each other are doing. I see some comments coming in, and Defense Dad, he already said, I think, hey to, and Woods out there. I think that's everybody. So we'll see. I think I have a bracket going on YouTube, but not on the video. Oh, just on plain old YouTube channel. So don't need to jump over there. But tomorrow we'll be able to see what people thought was the best between. I think I put up there knives, flashlights, phone, and other. So whenever I get around to it, I'll put a poll up on this actual show. But until then, here's what I've been trying to do for like an hour. I've been distracted with this epic situation. That's what we're calling it, an epic situation. Boom. I went to the robots and I said, oh, I put it as a background like a dumbass. I need to put it up as an overlay. All right, that gives me a chance to, one, do it all again, and two, not hopefully double it up and screw it all up like I just did over on the backgrounds. But you can kind of see now what's going on. Am I still connected? My computer's completely froze. Oh, snap. We got Foss.
Yeah,
I got to make Gizzard. I need to make you a mod or whatever so you can take the
co-host. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it, so I'm not going to try to do it in a second. I'm just talking out loud. But I need to jump over. I'm going to throw these things into overlays. I shoved them into backgrounds, so they're behind us right now. I'm going to shove them up in front of us, and we'll be able to take a look at some photographs that the AIs gave me when I typed in there. Oh, actually, that's going to be the fun of this. I typed in something to the robots and said, make me this picture, right? And you can also, so there's two things you're going to guess. What did I type in there? Oh man, now it won't let me because I have too many files. It's one thing, it's another. It's a comedy of errors. What is this one anyway? This is different.
Oh, wow.
This is the mouse party stuff. That's old, so I'm going to delete that one. The Indiegogo buffet. I don't know what that means. Oh, this was a bunch of patches, I think. I'm sorry, we're all doing maintenance on my account. I'm sure I would get scolded by people who know how to really do these things to not do a bunch of maintenance right in the middle of your show or in the beginning of your show. But evidently I need to delete everything that I just uploaded because even though I'm paying for StreamYard, I'm not paying enough, I guess, to have more storage than I'm entitled to. So, oh man, I got everything going wrong. Where's this file transfer at? It's all over the place. A minute ago it said 4 hours, and now it's saying 35 minutes. It's probably, anyone? What's that doing? It's moving videos. It's always goofy when it's moving a video. So eventually, if I can quit talking and typing at the same time here, I'll get a bunch of video or pictures up, images up on the screen from the robots directly out of, I don't want to say the mind of a robot because we don't know, out of the chips of a robot or whatever the unrude way of saying it is. But these are pictures, and I typed something in for the robot to create these pictures. So you'll have two challenges to begin tonight's traditional bracket show. The first challenge will be to figure out what I typed into the robots to give them, to get these results. And the other thing will be which robot did I use. So some people will know the difference between the different robots out there. and other people won't know what I'm talking about. Like they don't know one robot from another. But just FYI, each of the robots has their own kind of flavor, their own way of doing things. So first off, I'm going to ask and say thanks for Fost for joining us. I guess I suck at being a host. Thanks for jumping in.
Oh, no problem.
So you guys get to determine creepy or looks good to eat. So you can tell that there's something I typed into it. And if you guys have an idea of what it is that I typed in there, feel free to let me know what you think I typed in there. It's going to be pretty tough from one picture. I'll give you a lot of credit if you figure it out from one picture. Certainly from this picture. It's pretty much not what I typed in there. But as you can see, the results are, I'm going to just say either creepy or delicious. So what do you guys say? Is this creepy or delicious?
Creepily delicious.
There's going to be more, so we don't have to spend all night on this one. Just first impressions. Delicious looking, like I'm eating it, or what the hell? No.
I think I'd eat some of it.
Voss, anyone out there? Of course, feel free to.
Yeah, I'd eat it.
Okay, next. They're not all the same. They're not all the same. The robots give you different stuff. Delicious or no? I'll pass.
That's huge bacon.
That's the kind of bacon that Woods would appreciate, I believe.
Yeah, that's what you get at Hugo's, man.
Yeah, that's Hugo's, except like Hugo's mixed with Flintstones.
I know. What the heck? I'd try it.
All right. Foss?
Yeah.
And then any guesses on what I typed in there? What did I type in for the robots? This is the one I used for the screenshot. I hope it's not too gross with that. I don't know what's going on with your chicken there, Gizzard, but hey, I don't know. It's between you and the robots what they come up with when the chickens come out. But this is the one minus the chicken. This is what I used for the thumbnail. The little weird pots of French fries and the stack of bacon. The traditional stack of bacon and little buckets of French fries. Delicious or creepy? Look at that chicken. You eating this stuff or are you creeped out by that chicken?
As long as I don't have to eat the chicken.
I was going to say, I'll eat the bacon and the fries. I'll just leave the chicken.
I don't think that anybody would complain about them fries, although they are kind of the grossest kind of fries, in my opinion. So, creepy, delicious.
That dude's got some fucked up hands.
No kidding.
And plus, like, what's going on with that? You ever heard of just eating one piece of cornbread or whatever? Like, what are you doing to that cornbread? Is it Braille cornbread? Like, I don't tell the robots what to do. Any ideas what I typed in for the robots to give us? Creepy or delicious? I can't say it came from the mind of robots because they don't have minds, but this is what came out of the robots. Nothing? All right, and then the last
The bacon needs cooked for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't really care about the quality, the temperature of the bacon when it shows you bacon. So, creepy or delicious?
What is that on the right? Almost looks like bread.
When you figure out what I actually asked it to tell me or to make for me, you're going to be like, "What the hell, robot?" I mean, obviously, none of these are similar that much. There's some similarities. So,
Chicken bacon pizza?
That's close, kind of. I mean, that certainly looks like a pile of pizza crusts or something, right? Like some kind of pizza crust bread that they cooked off without any sauce on it or something. I mean, I kind of want to eat it, but then I'm like, what the hell? Why didn't you just put some sauce on there or something? But at least this bacon looks kind of cooked. Like they tried to cook a little bit of it. And then, I mean, as long as you don't look at how many legs and wings and stuff, this is like this is like the fish from The Simpsons. Like, as long as you don't pay too much attention, it looks like a chicken. So they all are actually like that because the AI, I don't know, it just kind of guesses and does weird stuff. Like these people, I think, are connected to each other. And yeah, I don't really care about the bacon.
What says bacon in a focus group?
Focus group, interesting. Anybody else? Any guesses?
Well, I would have went along with the bacon and chicken and pizza, except for the fries. They're kind of out of place. But
Any common threads besides the chicken is definitely a common thread, and it's interesting when it went straight to cooked chicken. It just went straight to here you go. Here's a roasted chicken or whatever.
it seems there's a camera in everyone too.
Is that DJ in now or somebody else?
Oh yeah, that's me.
So you know what we're playing here? What's going on?
No, I'm just jumping in, but some of it's making me hungry. The rest of it's kind of making me repulsed.
Well, right now it's delicious, or what was the other one? Delicious or
Yummy or creepy, I think.
yeah, creepy or delicious is the yes or no on each of these. And then the real deal is, since these are all obviously robot pictures, the question is, what did I ask the robot to make a picture of? And these are the results. These are the best results. The other results would either sicken you or make you all go leave the show and go buy something to eat. So if there's any other, you guys are, if I can't cycle through these and look at the comments at the same time.
The one on the screen right now is definitely on the gross. It's not good. It's definitely on the gross side. It's that plucked chicken with the head still on and the eyes open, man.
And then there's something going on with that pig in the background. Like that's something happening. And then it's like, let's do that next to a vending machine, because why not? And then this one, like I can't get over whatever they're doing to the cornbread. Like the robot doesn't know we don't go around touching everybody else's cornbread. But anyway, so then any other guesses? Like I say, I can't really look at the comments while I'm cycling through these.
There's a camera in every one of these, so it's like photo opportunity for good or gross food.
No, but I mean close, kind of, but no. So I'm also waiting for my hard drive to back up back here, and it says it's got 15 minutes remaining, but it was started at 7 hours, so I'm pretty sure it's almost done. And we're kind of doing this as we let people join in. So while this is happening, am I pegged on a gross one? I'll leave it pegged on this one. I think this is one of the least grossed of all of them. As long as you don't count wings and the legs, then it's not that bad. But I'm going to do a poll over here real quick for the people that are joining us live. So the traditional Sunday bracket today is about EDC gear. I'm going to say in here, best EDC gear. And it's either going to be one of four things. Knife, which I think a lot of people think you can pretty much have a knife and be done with it. You can figure out everything else from there. Or a light, a flashlight, which a lot of people like to carry around. Or a phone, which has become the multi-tool of the future. And then other. And you gotta leave a comment if you choose other. So now there's a poll going, and is there any other guesses as to what we're chatting about, or what I asked the robot to do? Everyday chicken. That's actually pretty close. It's the space herpes from Ice Pirates. I think I've only seen Ice Pirates a couple of times back in the days.
Yeah, I guess I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it looks like a mini alien from Aliens.
Yeah, like a lamprey, and I think there's actually a scene where it like pops its head up out of a chicken or something like that. So.
Dances across the countertop.
Oh, is that an Ice Pirates? It's that much of a sight?
Yeah. Hello, my ragtime guy. It's got a little top hat and cane.
So what I asked it, I don't have it open anymore, so I guess I can't show you. I know, and the other thing was, do you know which AI I used? Judging from the quality and the results, can you tell which robot I went to? Here's a hint. I'm paying for this robot. So some robots are out there that are free. Some people only use free robots. I'm paying for at least 2, maybe 5 robots, technically, if you want to count the number of robots I'm paying for. Oh, what happened? There it is. I think this one's the one that gives me the most nightmare creepiness. Like, what the hell is this? I didn't ask for anything about that.
Well, you notice what's on the camera?
Oh, wait.
What? That chicken's got a microphone sticking out of it, apparently.
It's bugged. So, that has the most normalist looking bacon, and there's like bread. Like you could make a sandwich out of what's going on in this picture, minus whatever's happening to that thing that is cooked like a chicken, like it isn't a chicken anymore. But others saying that's Spaceballs. I do remember that scene, but I'm trying to. I thought Ice Pirates was more like a Monty Python.
No, not quite. I own the DVD. I haven't watched it in a while. But...
So anyway, I'm gonna get going with this. Waiting for the thing to move files is like watching paint dry. So what I asked it was a chicken, a giant piece of bacon, and a stack of pancakes are sitting at a table recording a podcast. And then I said stuff like center it, put it in the middle of the room, some stuff to make it. Because a lot of times if you don't tell a robot enough specifics, it'll just show you like a corner or a piece. So I had some specifics that make it, or attempted to make it show like a whole image. But essentially I told it, and then I did say realistic. At first I said cartoon and it looked dumb. So I told it to be realistic. I said chicken, a giant piece of bacon, and a stack of pancakes. And yeah, it went straight to a cooked chicken on every single one. Like it didn't even give you a chance. I guess that one thing, that weird alien chicken. But aside from that alien chicken, it didn't even give you a chance. It's like, you're a cooked chicken, buddy.
Doesn't really have much of a concept of what a stack of pancakes looks like either.
Yeah, there's no pancakes anywhere in here. This is probably the closest, and it's more like a stack of pizza breads.
Yeah, it looks like
French breads or something.
Like cheese sticks.
That would be good. I mean, I eat those things, but they're not pancakes. And I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of tomatoes on this one. What happened here? And then it just started throwing random people and stuff. So I guess it just decided recording a podcast means, and then there's people recording a podcast. But I feel like that's a lot of assumption for a robot. Hey. Don't quit ruining my podcast. Come in here.
At least they put a garnish on the table.
Yeah, that weird piece of flour or onion.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we can get rid of these things already. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Mentioned before, I sent out, like 50 people on this list or something, a whole bunch of people that I normally invite, people I sometimes invite, and people I even rarely invite, with the idea that maybe on Sundays I'll start inviting people to a chat that's adjacent to stuff, but not necessarily on the clock. We're not going to talk about Second Amendment related stuff, but we'll bring together some Second Amendment people and give them a chance to just chat off the clock a little bit. And in this case, we're going to talk about EDC. I tried to get a bracket system going that Never Enough Ammo used, and I finally found it. I didn't save it. I found it, though, before the show. And the problem is I'm going to have to research a little bit, like do some legwork before we actually go live with it. So I'm not going to try to use that one tonight. We'll use the traditional bracket generator for the traditional Sunday night bracket. The one that we've all come accustomed to on the overnight show on some Saturdays. The overnight show that's never missed a show every Saturday. You thought I said pod chickens from outer space?
Ozzy wants balloons.
Balloons?
Yeah. Show you. There you go. Here's some balloons for you.
Oh, what is that, your webcam?
It's something that Apple has implemented on the Mac browser. Let's see. I could do. Here's your fireworks.
It's from your hand signals?
Yeah, it's from your hand gestures. Let's see. I could do lasers here.
What's
DJ will like that. What's that?
That's pretty cool.
What's the middle finger give you?
That's not in the list. Let's see.
Yeah.
If I do 2 fingers down, I get rain, or 2 thumbs down.
Holy moly.
Let's see. What else have I got available? Oh, hearts. Let's see. Trying to go.
I'm still not sure.
Siri, would you hush? There's your hearts.
They're like, should we make the hearts rain down like water, or should we let them rise up like farts? Why don't we make them rise up like farts?
I
Yeah,
can
that's
also
cool.
manually do it from my screen here too. But these are going to be a lot of fun on my show. But yeah, you can initiate all this stuff by various hand gestures. I think one thumb just brings up a thumb on your screen in a bubble. And I think a thumb down just does that on your screen. And I can't remember what does hearts.
Can
I
you
know that-
assign the gesture to the effect?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-uh.
Oh, man.
Peace
That's
sign
not
does
Apple for you.
balloons. 2 thumbs up does fireworks. And DJ's favorite, which is the 2 devil signs, gives you the lasers.
Oh, hell yeah. With me in mind.
I don't know if one will do anything or not. I don't think so. I don't remember what generates the hearts, though. All those things are associated to hand gesture. What is the hearts?
Too bad Apple doesn't tell you.
I looked it up. Reactions.
That happens whether you want to or not. You could just be doing a serious conversation with
It's
somebody, attorneys,
basically,
lawyers, and then
yeah, you can turn it off.
okay.
I didn't even know it was there. I found out quite by accident on Hillbillies chat last night. I kept generating balloons on my screen, and it's like, where everybody's asking where that came from. It's like, I have no idea. Every time I was holding up 2 fingers for something, all of a sudden balloons appeared on my screen, and I could repeat it. And so everybody else was trying it. Nobody else was getting it to work. So finally I did a Google search and found out it's something new Apple put on their operating system. But let's see. What are they? Let's see. Oh, let's see. The hearts are... Oh, yeah. You got to make the heart sign on a screen like this. There you go. There's your hearts.
Could you try it?
And
My
they
watch.
shoot out of wherever you do them at.
I guess so. Let's move it over here. Well, if it can read it. First, it has to know. Yeah, it evidently does it wherever you put the gesture. So if I do the peace sign over here, where's the balloons? The balloons are still coming out all over the place. It's kind of fun to do.
Yeah, it's fun for you, but now there's all those balloons up in the air, and now they're going to pop and come down in lakes and on little ducks and bird nests and stuff. And I'm just thinking of the waste and the
I think I want some.
all them balloons.
Let's get some confetti now, shall we? There we go.
Get
That's
done with
fun.
the show and you got a vacuum.
You got a vacuum.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so now we will start the traditional bracket. The first question of all brackets is how big should the bracket be? Anywhere from 2, which is very boring, to 32, which is the most we can shove in here. So we're doing EDC stuff. So, you know, your flashlights, your knives, your wallets, your keys, that kind of stuff. What are we thinking? We're half an hour into the show. It's Sunday evening.
Minimum of 16.
Got 2 other people in here. We got people out there listening. Where is everybody at?
I was
So
going to
it's-
say 16.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So then with 16 in mind, can't go too crazy. We're going to start. And again, it's like a flashlight is a flashlight. So a knife is a knife. It's not a Gerber this or a Civivi that. Right? So an item is an item in the EDC pile. Then you can have your preferences and say, well, I don't like any of these things, but, so for that reason, I'm not picking it. But it's not like, we're going to have a thing of EDC and then it's all just 6 versions of knives or 6 different models of knives or something.
Mhm.
Can you think of anything else? You guys have done EDC conversations before, any other potential potholes we want to avoid?
Potholes.
I'm just thinking, if I didn't clarify, we would have like, a multi-tool and then a mini multi-tool and then a keychain tool, like we're just going to go with like one general item covers that realm. Or
I mean, if you're like me, I carry a multi-tool and a knife, but
No, that's fine. But I'm saying, there's a difference between a multi-tool and then, a big multi-tool, a little multi-tool. Because then the 16 brackets gets filled up with, it's just a multi-tool bracket with a wallet hanging out next to it or something.
Right.
So anyway, that's all I'm thinking of, is if there's anything else that you've had these conversations that we could avoid by starting off with some rules. Rules are always good. A lot of people like rules. It's always good to put rules right at the beginning of a fun, entertaining show. So.
Yeah, because if you make them up on the fly, then people accuse you of cheating.
Well, exactly. Or if we encounter something on the fly, then it's just like, oh man. And I'm just thinking we probably have had each of us have had a conversation or two about these topics before. I bought a new thing to do on Wednesdays. So while everybody's not answering me about any other rules, we can give people a chance to start filling in the bracket. So we got 16 things to fill in. We're just here to do the work. So y'all have to do the other half of the work by coming up with the 16 things, right? So we got a whole bunch of people watching us. It says right now about 1,400 people are watching. So, give us some ideas, things to include here.
EDC items, basically.
Yeah, I'm going to wait before I ask you guys, because otherwise we'll fill it in like 3 seconds.
Okay.
And that's going to be no fun for the people watching. So instead, I'm going to ask, why did the baseball player get arrested?
Because he stole home.
He stole the base, I guess we'll call it, yes.
Yeah, that'll work.
One for DJ.
Nice.
What type of sandal do frogs wear? What kind of sandals do frogs wear? Come on.
Huaraches.
I don't know what that is.
Open-toed.
Yes, one for Gizzard. Well played. Did you hear about the fruit farmer president? This is timely. I'm telling you, it's timely. Did you hear about the fruit farmer president? Anyone?
He's out of his gourd.
Oh, that's pretty good, but no, it's more timely than that. I'm going to leave that one for somebody out there who's probably yelling it out at the monitor right now. If you could be in here being part of this too, instead of just yelling at the screen. No, we're looking for EDC stuff. DJ is the only one putting in some items though, so we're just spending some time here while we're waiting for people to put in EDC items for our bracket here. What did the beaver say to the tree? That's a pretty bad one. Pretty bad. You can't imagine no one's going to know that one. Been nice gnawing you. How long does it take to make butter at home? How long does it take to make butter at home? It's a punny one. Let's see. Trying to find ones that are actually questions or whatever. Where do horses live? Where do horses live? Fragmentation grenade. Come on, man.
Hold on. In the neighborhood. Or wait, that's
Yep.
more like a donkey. Okay,
No,
neighborhood.
you got it. No, it's for DJ.
Are these from Bazooka Joe rappers?
No, this is a thing called Dad Joke Face Off, which is a game, and you just have to not laugh when you say these at each other.
DJ's just good at this stuff.
Why do ducks have tail feathers? It's a racy one. It might be a little too much for all ages. So while we're waiting for them to come up with the answer to why do ducks have tail feathers, people in the chat are tasked with coming up with EDC items that we'll be bracketing up here in a bit. What do you call it? Wait, no, it's pretty dumb. See, this one's not a thing. It just says, I accidentally gave my friend super glue instead of chapstick. They're still not talking to me. It's not really a joke as much as this thing to say. What do you call it? Dinosaurs fart. What do you call it? Dinosaurs fart. Defense Dad coming up with the key smart. That's a good one. When you guys think we've got about 16, let me know and I'll quit this and start putting them in the pile. You guys don't know what you call a dinosaur's fart?
Oh.
I'm hoping this is getting them warmed up. This might be grinding them into the ground. Why did the fish blush? I'd be surprised if anyone got that one. Because it saw the ocean's bottom.
Oh, Jesus.
Why do trains love gum? Why do trains love gum?
Because they are choo-choos.
Yep. Another one for DJ. We got another one coming in from Woods. Map. Let's see. Why is alphabet soup so loud?
Because it's always trying to say something.
This is so dumb. It's because of the vowel. Yum. That's so stupid. Oh, man. Remember, no matter how far you push the envelope, it's always stationary. That's just a statement.
Oh, no.
Would you have been able to handle that one if you were doing head-to-head? Don't laugh at dad jokes.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. Two guys recently stole the calendar. They each got 6 months. Why are printers so musical? This is excellent. Sorry, that's excellent. I wish I would have heard that one a million years ago because that's excellent. Why are printers so musical? You're going to kick yourself. It's right there. It's just right there, too.
About keys?
Why are printers so musical? Computer printers. That's what we're talking about here. Not Ozzy.
They can print in any key or from any key? I don't know. I'm lost.
Because they're always jamming. That would have been so good back in the day. Seriously, so good back in the day. Why do milk stools only have 3 legs? I would suck at this game. I would be no good at this game. Why do milk stools only have 3 legs? I would feel like if Moo was out there, he'd know the answer to this one, right? Why do milk stools, the stools you use when you're milking a cow, why do they only have 3 legs on them? And if you'll notice, they always do only have 3 legs on them.
Well, that's so they always, so they don't tap, but that's not the answer.
It's because the cow has the udder.
What do you call a hen who can count her own eggs? Gizzard should know this one. A hen who can count her own eggs. I think we've got enough in here now. DJ actually won, but that would be a Mathema chicken. I would have been surprised if anybody knew that one. So that's a game called Math or Dad Jokes. So if you want to, it's got 600 dad jokes in it. I think it was worth the investment. On Wednesdays we're going to start playing. Oops, that's what happens when you put a box back there. And scare a fart out of yourself. We'll be doing different trivia type board and card games on Wednesdays. I'm gonna do them earlier. I tried doing this one earlier, but still everybody's complaining that they're going to bed or whatever. So we'll do that one earlier in the day. But feel free to join in. Same kind of concept. Let's bring people together, give them a chance to hang out and chat, and then essentially not do stuff on the clock. All right. So I'm going to. How am I going to do it? I'm going to get it from over here. You guys will help me decide what all to put in here. What was the first one? DJ? Lighter? So, that took a lot of stuff. Lighter? Cash? Is it worth putting that one in there? And then you put multi-tool. Nunchucks for real or no?
I've never carried nunchucks.
We're going to watch here. Emergency numbers and contact info. I mean, what are you talking like on a piece of paper? Woods is saying wire ties.
Yeah, and I ran into something somewhere recently where the person who was talking about that said to make sure you have it laminated, so it's weatherproof through all seasons kind of thing. And I just didn't think that was such a bad idea because most people just keep their phone numbers on their phones, literally.
And
if your phone's dead, you can't remember your number.
Somebody comes up to you and you're laying on the ground. What's your phone going to do for you now? Right?
Was that the CIA dude with the shaggy hair? I think he talked about that.
Oh, you're talking about that guy who did the what's the CIA guy EDC, and it was essentially like money.
Yeah.
Some phone numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like you can buy anything with $100 US.
That does sound familiar. That was probably where I got it.
He was on some guy's podcast, and it was like a segment of that podcast that they put up. Ferro rod. We're getting up to 16 pretty quick. Emergency blanket, knife, light. Do we have light on here yet? Do we have knife? Oh shit, we don't.
Well, are these things?
Yeah,
that you
Wood
carry?
said knife.
Oh, but I hadn't put it on my list. I mean,
Is this stuff you carry on your person, or going to be stuff that's in your car?
well, see, that's what I'm saying. So we only have what we got offered to us here. So I already got lighter, truck monkey, key management. So that's a real thing. Another gun. I'm going off of the thing so I don't have to copy and paste. So I'm over here going at my own pace down through the list. I'm at Wood saying a map. Then we got multi-tool handkerchief. I mean, should I put map on there? I mean, some people probably do. I mean, for a kid or something, you want a map. Wallet. And then pliers. Water. So let me know. There's other things out there for sure. Can you guys see? Am I still showing the screen on the screen?
Yeah.
You guys are seeing me put this
instead of pliers, maybe like tool set.
Okay. So, there's a multiplier already, and then this is actually an actual set of pliers. There's a lot of people that will carry channel locks, like a small channel locks.
Well, like in my car, I have a small set of wrenches, pliers, screwdriver.
Right. Yeah. No, this is more EDC. So I've seen a number of people, and I would carry them too if I knew where to source them. They were cheap, but essentially, literally a pair of pliers. Just they make them really small, so that they're the size of a multi-tool, but they're pliers and not. I keep saying pliers. They're more like channel locks than
pliers, which are on scissors looking things like on a multi-tool. These are more like channel locks. So they're just a little more useful for people that are maybe just doing different things and need that application more than they need a regular plier. Honestly, I've never needed the pliers part of a multi-tool almost ever. You almost always need something more like a vice grips or a channel lock, because you're trying to do like a bolt or something, and you just end up stripping it with the multi-tool. But let's go through the list. So lighter, if this is a way to do it, let's just clarify before we even get started. So lighter can mean anything, right? Like Zippo, pick something to start fire, something to light cigarette, something to be able to see in the dark, whatever you use a lighter for. Create heat.
Well, if you have a lighter with you, why do you need a ferro rod?
Some people don't carry both, so these are just items in the list. So I'm not saying this is like to put in a bag altogether necessarily, but it's a good point. That's the kind of stuff we're trying to thrash out, I guess. So cash and coin, right? Everything. I don't know if we count just credit cards and stuff, or do we mean literally cash to that whole CIA thing? Have $100.
I meant literally like cash, because the plastic's another thing that can go down, or your balance could be stolen. That $100 bill, or 50 cents in your pocket, someone's got to take that, or you got to give it up.
We all know when robots go to get you, they're going to turn off all your bank accounts.
It's like my dad told me. He says, if you ever run off into a ditch or something, need a farmer to pull you out, he's not going to want your credit cards. He's going to want some cash. So,
well, plus you're just a dick if you let somebody waste their time and effort and time and fuel and maybe wear and tear on their equipment to pull you out, and then you're just like, thanks, that's your obligation because I crashed into your shit. You want to be able to say, hey, here's $50 or whatever.
So yeah, I always carry some cash with me for sure.
But okay, so then that's cash. Multi-tool, whatever. I think we're all thinking the same thing with a multi-tool, something like a Leatherman or what's the other ones? Why can't I think of the other ones? The Gerbers and the Sogs and stuff. Watch, I guess, and that's anything from a wind-up, which I would use a wind-up regular old watch with nothing fancy on it, all the way up to a smartwatch, even though there's a spectrum there, right? Well, here, I don't think, it's not saying he's in a big hurry. Defense Dad brings up a point, and I didn't know when to bring this up, but when we're talking cash, I think he makes a great point. Having $100 bills folded up is one thing, but having 420s, a 10, a 5, whatever the denominations are, having something that you can chop up right away, split up. If you want to tip somebody, you can tip them and not, oh, wow, thanks, mister. Shit, I just gave somebody $100. That kind of distribution.
Smaller denomination allows you not to really be tipping your hand about how much you're carrying too, because you can fish, one bill out of your pocket and go after a second one if that's not enough, kind of deal, instead of just one bill does it all. Not bad.
Yeah, I like the thing about cash too, especially when you got pieces of cash, is you can have your money doing where you want it. If you want it in your wallet, awesome. If you have a crazy hollow belt, great. If you stick it in your shoe, awesome. But now you can also have a $5 bill in your pocket, and something where you need a $5 bill, but you don't need to tell everybody in that place where you keep your money, here's a $5 bill, and then sometimes a $5 bill thrown in the ground is enough to, or $5 bill out of nowhere is, so sometimes I've seen people just carry a 5 or 10, depending on how they roll, $20 bill, depending on how they roll, but one bill here, the rest of it especially traveling. So I don't know if you want to dig into that kind of stuff while we're kind of thrashing them through on the first run through, or just bring that stuff up as we start voting. I'll do a random a couple of times so that these things aren't all the way they are right now, head to head the way they are right now. So watch and then wire ties. Is that getting way too specific with pliers and stuff? I mean, I guess there are technically people that carry them around, and I guess if you were working with wires all the time, I think having wire ties would be a no-brainer. They're probably super useful. I know even back in the olden days when I was working with tools all the time, I had wire ties were expensive back then, and I'd still have them. Anytime I had a job where I had wire ties left over, I was like, woohoo, and I'm shoving these wire ties somewhere, in a fishing kit or in a survival kit, because they were expensive back in the day. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Wire ties deserve a space on the 16, or is there something else to substitute it with? We're going to be answering this question a bunch of times. So
I've never carried them myself.
Only as part of a different set of kit or whatever.
Yeah, in a bag for sure, like in a first aid kit. So I've had them on me in a first aid kit for sure, maybe, but or like literally like just a first aid kit, not a trauma kit. Anyway, then a handcuff key. Now that just it's depending on who we're talking to here. I think a handcuff key is super smart. They make so many plastic little handcuff keys that you can kind of sew, attach, or whatever into the back pocket, or what am I trying to say? Back pocket or back belt loop of a pair of pants for people who are at risk of getting grabbed. And that's an actual thing, especially depending on where you're going or what's going on in the world. I don't know. Some people think that's a crazy idea. Other people think it's like sewing a quarter into inside of your pants or something. The grandparents used to do that for kids, right? Krabby Turtle is saying, does that mean firearms are given? So I don't know. Nobody's saying anything here. So handcuff key. I don't know if anybody's got any issues with that one or if we just leave it. Somehow I messed up this one. So was this emergency numbers and contact info on a laminated card or some kind of something to identify yourself if you go down? And it's kind of unrealistic to assume that you're never going to go down. So it's probably more realistic to realize that it's definitely possible. And where are people going to look, right? And go to your wallet right away. Woods is saying, I say EDC gear is your CCW. Oh, you say EDC is gear, CCW is gun. Yeah, I definitely think that, but I'm giving in because everybody says CCW means gun nowadays, so I don't really care. But I really do care. I think that CCW is separate because not everybody does or can. And even if you can, it doesn't mean you do, right? So you can have concealed carry, you can have constitutional carry, you can still choose to open carry. And it doesn't matter what your EDC is because you've got a rifle over your shoulder or something. But I don't have a problem if people want to put guns in here. Emergency numbers. Anybody have any problem with that one? Cordage. What are we considering cordage? Does anybody have an issue with cordage? Back in the day, the big issue was, the big question was, what's better to carry into the woods, rope or a knife? Because one can help you make the other, and where do you get that cycle started? You carry rope, which is really hard to build in the woods, but can be so useful, or a knife, which is, depending on where you go, also very hard to make, but anyway. So Krabby says tourniquet. I could see putting tourniquet in there for one of these. Nobody's really saying nothing. Everybody's just sitting here quietly.
Yeah, or like, how about that tourniquet goes
into a party with 9mm shooters?
How about that tourniquet goes into an IFAC? Like IFAC should be something that pretty easily gets on that list, right?
Well, a tourniquet is essentially, you're either carrying a tourniquet or you're carrying a tourniquet with like gloves and a bandage, so that would make it an IFAC. So yeah, I'm down for tourniquet / IFAC being the same thing. I'm thinking wire ties. That is more of something I'm going to carry in my bag. I know people do carry them, but I'm just not doing stuff where I need them enough. They're nothing. They're insignificant weight, and you can stick them in stuff, so they're not really hard to carry. It's just that I'm not carrying them. So I guess I'm going to change that to tourniquet if that's right with everybody.
Sure.
And that's just because I can copy and paste that. And what happened? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, I have it set to top chat. So we do have a poll going, and the knife and phone are winning the poll with light getting 8%, and then 38% people are answering for other. But I'm thinking Krabby must be on the other channel. Hold on. I
think a lot of people rely on their phone as their only flashlight.
Yeah, that's crazy. I definitely know people like that, and I just respect them when they do it that way. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're holding your phone in front of your face like your light? Come on. Like adults. I know adults that do that. I don't know how to
I'm
spell
one of
triple A.
them. G-Webs, I'm one of them. I don't carry a flashlight in my pocket every day.
I actually
Because I have that phone.
I had a plumber in my house one night working down the basement, and I asked him if he needed a flashlight. He says, "Nope, I got one right here," and he held up his phone and was using it. I'm like, really?
I mean, I get it. They made the new phones, though. My new phones have light as one of the buttons at the top, like it's part of the phone's like operating system. So they want you to do it.
But it's not that bright.
Well, it can be pretty bright, but to me, it just seems like I'm used to bulbs. I'm like, I don't want to waste my bulb. I don't care if it's got a billion hours. I want to wait. I don't want to, run it all the time. But I really don't use it for anything else. So I don't. I've done it a handful of times. But my reasoning is a flashlight with a AAA battery is nothing. It's the size of a AAA battery with a clip on it. So why not have a separate task light? That being said, I go through them. Maybe 2 or 3 a year because I lose them or break them or lose them usually. Well, I either break them or lose them before they break. But, if I don't lose them, they break. So they only have a certain lifespan if you're actually carrying them with keys and knives and other stuff. Like, it'd be nice if they lasted a long time, but they are just a thin thing of aluminum with some thin threading on them and a couple O-rings. So after, are we on cordage? Then, and again, nobody's really said anything about cordage, but cordage can be anything from like a thin stuff. Where's my mouse? Like a thin stuff to a 550 cord to maybe something even bigger than that. Think about if you're in a building that's up off the ground, 3rd floor or something. Are you going to carry something that could help you get off of that 3rd floor? I don't know. Is it worth carrying something like that? You're going to just stow that kind of thing in a desk? What if you're not in your office and something happens? So, ferro rod. We got a book and pad. So like a notepad book coming in from Krabby Turtle. Pen and marker coming in from Krabby Turtle. I'm down for changing ferro rod to pen. Because we don't have pen on here. We don't even have, I'm going to say pen and paper. Although that is technically 2 different things. Nobody's saying anything, so I'm assuming everybody's...
Do you want one of those Write Anywhere pads? Because those are nice. Write in the Rain.
Mm-hmm. Write in the Rain pad with a Write Anywhere pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Space pen. Fisher Space Pen. Write Anywhere, Write in the Rain.
Dynamite combo.
And the paper's kind of more resilient. It doesn't rip out as easily, so it can stay together as a notepad a little better than standard paper, at least in my experience. Because what happens is, for me, having it in my shirt pocket, it'll get all sweaty, it'll get some rain on it, something happens and you get splashed with something. It gets a little bit abuse, the sun's hitting it all the time, whatever, so the paper itself just starts to tend to fall apart if it is a better paper. Justin is saying, do you need the marker to mark the time on the tourniquet? Good point. Krabby's saying he carries one of the little short Sharpies. Any opinion on that? I kind of feel like if you're going to be carrying something anyway, go ahead and carry the full size. But unless you get stuck on a desert island, I guess, how much you're going to have.
Well, I mean, if you're going for pocket economy, I can see they also have different tips in those minis. You can get them that are like pencil tip, or you can get the ones that are like even medium tip. So I have both of those styles dangling off of my bag, and the larger ones too. But that's also because I'm a Sharpie kind of guy. But I don't see any reason not to carry the mini version, really.
Well, because you're going to run out of them. If you use it a lot, you're going to run out of it real fast and go through them, I suppose. But if it's more of a backup, I'm only going to use this and I have other things in my pocket with it, then I could see it. I'm just thinking of it, I would be wearing them out fast.
Well, if you are going to carry a mini one, then I guess I would recommend the ones that have the smaller tips, because they'll use less ink over the run for having the same basic size.
Are you talking about the fine tips?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with them, I don't disagree. They're better than a pen because they're right on anything and a nice consistent stripe and everything, or whatever that's called. But you can't see them. Like half the time I'm using a Sharpie, the normal chisel point, normal size Sharpie, because you can get almost what you're talking about if somebody hasn't come along and crushed it already. But if you need to, you kind of angle that Sharpie over, and you've got a almost, not quite a fat marker, but you've got a wide thing and a couple of stripes like that, and you can write something someplace, a sign or something like on some paper that somebody can read from a distance. Where the small one, you'd have to sit there for an hour and a half coloring it in, because there's just really no way for that little one to get. Actually, that's not true, but it's more difficult to get stuff out of a small one quickly. But actually, as soon as I say that, do you know how to get stuff out of a Sharpie quick?
Take the back off. Yeah.
Oh no, well, you can do that, I suppose, but you take a straw or something and blow towards the tip and make a impromptu air gun, and it'll, an old dried out marker ain't going to work, but any standard new marker essentially is going to become an air gun. You're going to be able to blow like a little faint air, what should I say, like paint? Airbrush, thank you, of air out of there. So, if you had a nice marker and it just didn't have enough tip or something, that is potentially an option to fill in some space or to get a markup. Book carries as reading material, or doubles as reading material and something to write on. Back in the day, I used to carry a book like when I was on the bus all the time, but just in general, I'm not carrying around a book right now. Am I missing anything? You guys are watching the side chats, and I'm trying to do a couple of juggling here, so if I'm missing anything, let me know. So we changed that out to pen and paper. We got light, which I'm assuming we mean flashlight of some sort. We're not getting too specific. Knife, same thing, some kind of a knife. Really, it's up to you how you want to do it. Key management. Now, I'm a big fan of these. These are essentially like the Key Smart, or the other ones that are out there are kind of like a Swiss Army knife, except you put keys in there instead of blades. So they go through the ring on your key, or where the key ring would go on your key, but they put a bolt through on a pivot thing, and now you're pulling it out like the blades on a pocket knife. So they put all your keys into a nice, convenient kind of brick, and you just peel off the key that you need. So for most things, that works just fine. Sometimes that won't work because of the way the keyhole is, or where you got to use the key, or you have to give the key to somebody. But if it's keys that are in your possession, you don't have to leave them in a lock or anything like that, then those things are super handy. Has anybody ever used one? Am I describing it right?
I've looked at them.
Had one.
I've looked at them a few times, but for what I carry, it just wouldn't work well.
They actually are best for 2 or 3 keys, unless it's like I need one for my car and I give it to valets, or like the wife takes it and half the time I got the key, half the time I don't. Then it doesn't help you at all. I think there's little things that you plug your keys into that might help people like that. But if you've got possession of your keys all the time, and like say you're not going to have to leave them anywhere in a lock, then I would say check them out, because they're inexpensive. I guess that's what we said. For a while, I had bought a handful of them. I think it was like 12 or something. Maybe I just gave them to Patreons. But I remember for a while there, I was including them when people bought stuff at the Gear website store as sort of an additional like thank you to the Free Patch Friday type of thing. And I didn't spend a lot on them. I think I got them for like $1 or something. So they were a couple of bucks at the most. Like they were essentially 2 pieces of plastic with some hardware, the bolts or whatever, and was it even threaded rod? I'm trying to remember. I guess maybe it was just like a Chicago screw or something that kind of held it together. But the other thing is you can make them yourself. You can take like an old knife and take it apart and put it back together with keys, or just find the right parts laying around with, drill a hole or find something with the hole and essentially just make a little hamburger sandwich, BLT, whatever you want to call it, of keys, and find something to wrap around them. Now, since we're talking about this, I don't know if we're spending way too much time on this. Anybody remember the old leather things that were not really like, sometimes a janitor would have them, but often security guys would have them, and they'd have their keys for like, a million doors, but then it would be like this leather thing that came around and snapped, and then that would keep your keys from making a shit ton of noise, and it would kind of keep them all together. Anybody remember those?
Yeah.
I like those too, but I don't have anywhere near enough keys to carry around a big chunk of leather like that. Okay, well, that was a lot of key talk. Handkerchief. What's everybody's thoughts on the gentlemanly handkerchief? I forgot who brought that one up.
I think it's a good idea.
Are we talking about the white gentleman's handkerchief or the red plaid ones like farmers used to carry in their back pockets and stuff like that?
Right, and I don't think there's a difference. They're both called handkerchiefs, right? I think it's just up to the person, maybe depending on if you're going to church or not, but because I'm sure people had both. But yeah, and then I include, because I don't carry either one of those really anymore, like the bandana.
I used to.
Another way to call it.
Yeah, I used to.
But that's the thing. I carry around a bigger piece of fabric. Like usually I'll take one of them big towels and rip them into quarters and then carry one of those around. Back in the day, they used to give us these pieces of stuff that were, I don't know if they were to keep bugs off. They're probably for everything, but to like keep bugs off or the sun off. And it was sort of like t-shirt material, just a big rectangle of it. And I would rip those things up. And they're kind of like a rectangle bandana, so they're not quite as square. Anyhow, having something that you can tie something up, you can mop something up, you can wipe your sweat, spit into it or whatever, give it, well, assuming it's clean, have something to give to somebody as a gesture or whatever. So is that something that if you carry one, you leave it good so that you can offer it to somebody, or is it something that?
Well, I hadn't really thought about this until now, but that is part of my EDC. I have a handkerchief, like a nose handkerchief, in my left back pocket, and I have a bandana in my right back pocket. One's for sweat, one's for noses, and the nose one I always make sure it's a fresh one. In case, just the thing that you say, I want to hand it to somebody else, which I've done at like funerals and whatnot. It's just like, go ahead and keep it, sort of thing. And they're not expensive, and I just happen to have inherited about 20 of them. So
that's a good point. And if anybody, hopefully nobody has to deal with that, but if you ever do have to deal with what DJ just said, it doesn't cost you nothing to go buy a set of them and have them so that you don't even have to think twice, and then you can do that again and again if you had to. But how about wallet? I think everybody's okay with wallet, unless one of y'all weirdos doesn't carry around a wallet. Pliers. Oh, I think that one was controversial before. And then water. So, like, as long as the water has like in some kind of cursive that's hard to read, eat, pray, love on it, then I'll carry around the water. You know, if it's got some pumpkin motif to it, maybe I'll carry around the water. But what about pliers? Anybody want to mess with that one, or are we good to go with that one?
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, that's what happens when no one has care one way or the other. So we're going to dig in. So now we can. I'm going to shuffle. Actually, I'm going to zoom in first so that no one even knows what the shuffle looks like. We'll shuffle it up. Keep shuffling, shuffle and shuffle, and now get into it. We got knife versus a key manager. I don't think this is very controversial. Is anybody going to vote for the keys over the knife?
No.
Oh, hold on. Before we even start, anybody want to call it? Who's winning this? I keep forgetting to do this. This is a traditional, sort of like the wishbone, right? If you have a dinner and you have a big ass dead bird and you don't do the wishbone thing, that's your fault for not doing it, right? So I'm trying to remember to not forget doing this. Anybody want to call it? You guys know what the list is. Who's going to win? What's going to win this?
Knife.
The whole thing, I mean, not just this vote.
Yeah, knife.
Yeah, knife's kind of unbeatable.
Gizzard?
That would be my guess too.
Okay, we don't have phone on here. Did anybody notice phone isn't on here?
Nope, I didn't recognize that he hadn't been mentioned.
I thought that's weird. So, all right, everybody's voting knife. I don't know if anybody out there. Oh, it looks like everybody's voting knife. So we'll see if this is just a giant waste of time. Maybe we should have said EDC minus knives or something.
I don't even carry an EDC knife.
Oh, snap. So, I mean, I don't go home if I forgot my knife, but I freak out the entire time I'm out thinking I lost my knife if I forget my knife at home. And then I run home and figure out where my knife is and then quit worrying about it. But It does bother me because I don't know where it is, but I can handle going out without a knife. But I'd rather have a knife in my pocket all the time because I'm constantly doing stuff and I don't care. I have giant fingernails and I'm not like, I don't know. I use knives way too much to not have them. But anyway, anybody picking a key over a knife? No. Water versus the multi-tool.
That's pretty easy for me. Multi-tool.
Yeah, we're not going to go around the boom. Just shout it out.
That's kind of what I carry is kind of a multi-tool thing that looks like a key and fits on my key ring.
Well, I'm in Arizona, and I definitely want some water right now, so I'm going to go get some water and vote water, but multi-tool won that one. Now you guys can... Okay, we got watch, and realistically, who wears a watch anymore? And we have pen and paper, and not that many people carry pen and paper, so if you guys want, we can change one of those to phone, or we can leave it as is. I'm going to go get a cup of water. You guys... thrash that out. We'll do or not do something based on your results.
I think we should leave phone on the outside, man. Leave it outside the door. Just be like, we forgot it. We don't get to count it now.
If I have my wallet with me, I can always buy a watch.
Fair.
My phone is with me wherever I am.
Oh yeah. I will go back for the phone and have.
I won't normally, but I don't know, it's just the thing that if my wife or my kids need to get a hold of me, I need my phone on me. So if they're in trouble, I can go.
Fair. I don't think that I would what about a trade? Would you trade like your knife or your multi-tool for a phone? If it was like you're going out into the woods and you have to make a choice between those two things, would you swap them?
Yeah.
Right on.
And only time I wear a watch, I have a smart watch that I wear at work just so I don't have to look at my phone if the owner or my boss texts me or emails me.
If you ever, here's a pro tip: if your phone ever runs out of juice, runs out of battery when you're out in the woods or whatever, grab a frog. You take the toe from its left leg and put it in the one side of the USB slot, and the toe from the other foot and put it on the other side of the USB slot, and then rub the belly of the toad or the frog. They'll work with both, and then that will create electricity that recharges your phone, and it's like 3 amps, so it'll happen really fast.
Could just lick the toad and then you don't care what's going on.
Yeah.
That's the other option. I think my file transfer is done, so maybe my computer will quit being weird. Okay, so we're leaving it? Is that what the consensus was?
I think so.
So watch or wallet?
I say wallet.
Wallet.
Krabby is saying realistically phone would be on the list, but the thing is, it should be against a knife. That's why I was thinking of putting it in there, but I could also see it being like gun, where it's like, who the hell in 2023 doesn't have a phone? Like, unless you intentionally leave your phone at home, you got your phone, you got your gun, and then this is all the other stuff. But to give knife a run for its money, I'm down for putting phone in here. That's all I'm saying. Nobody said phone, so I didn't go in here. That's real.
Well, I'm kind of like you. Yeah, phone's automatic. And that is one thing I would go home for is phone.
Yeah, I'm going home for a phone. I mean, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going to like run an errand to come home, who cares? But if I'm going out for any length of time, I'm going back for my phone. There's no way I'm going out. There's just too much stuff that can go on.
If I'm still in the driveway, I'll go back into the house. But once I get to the street, I'm not going to go back.
And if I was standing on the edge of a wilderness, I'd just be looking at the phone like, taking the knife.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for something like that. I mean, I don't know how you're going to check Instagram on your knife, but whatever.
Well, that's why I guess I just would default to the knife instead of the phone. Phone's going to run out of usefulness pretty quickly, even though it's like we do consider it to be a far more dire requirement. Outside of like how long does your battery last on standby? How long does it last during active calling or searching for signal? When you use it as a compass, how long is it going to work? Sort of deal. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to argue against it. I have my phone with me. I have 2 phones with me everywhere I go, and I feel naked without the damn things. But I also am never without a pocket knife.
I think it would be interesting to take people nowadays who think they're so good and just take their phones away and see if they can handle it. I think a lot of us who lived a good chunk of our lives, like most of us grew up without stupid cell phones, right? Like we're old enough to have developed without a cell phone even existing hardly. I mean, they barely existed in TV for a lot of us. So, these are all super luxuries that we don't take for granted. But if somebody grew up with these things, you think they can even function anymore? Or is it not that bad?
No, it's that bad. And I'm not trying to sound like an old fart when I say that either, but like I've run into so many people that don't know how to go anywhere anymore. Like they've forgotten how to basically recon the city or know how the street numbering systems even work because they've just been working off of phones.
People will say like, oh, we used maps back in the day. Like, no, maps existed back in the day, but there was tons of people who could not read a map and were effectively useless and had to have somebody with them that could read a map or knew where they were going. Nobody talks about that too much, but I mean, most of the people I knew were useless. They knew where they needed to go always because everybody knows where they need to go. They don't need to see the street signs in their town or their normal route routine. But as soon as you got out of where you're normally around, there were people that were useless. They had to be told, like, go down here until you see the red building, and then when you see the third red building, you're going to have to turn left at the yellow building. And if they didn't get directions like that, like they didn't know how to read signs and do stuff. And definitely reading a map was a skill that not everybody. And folding a map, people would make fun of it, but literally, there were like people that even folding the map was too much for them. I think most people. I'm not saying like just a few people. I think that was most people, right? Like it was skills that weren't necessarily everybody had back in the day. It's not like everybody had them back then. Anyway, watch or wallet? Is this a tough one for anybody?
Wallet.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I agree with Gary.
Awesome.
Well, I said wallet like 5 minutes ago.
Sorry. I'm going with watch because I care less about wallet, especially if watch is a phone. But I mean, except for money, that's the only thing I care about in my wallet. Light versus what's going on? Light versus some kind of cordage. Is this a tough one for anybody?
Light.
I'd go that way as well.
Cash versus a first aid kit. Not a first aid kit. An individual. Well, I guess IFAC means first aid kit, but a trauma kit. Tourniquet. Just stop the bleed. Just stop bleeding. That's it.
Cash.
Or cash.
Even though I said IFAC, I'll go cash because I can buy Band-Aids.
Yes,
You buy them in time. Foss?
Yeah, you're right.
Cash.
3. I'm going definitely with the first aid kit. I already carry the stuff, but yeah, I think that's one of those things that's worth considering if you've never done it before. A first aid kit is ridiculous. I don't even like first aid kits, honestly. The ones that have Band-Aids and garbage in them and moleskin and like lollipops and shit. Those are ridiculous. But
50 Band-Aids and a gauze.
Tiny scissors.
Yeah, the scissors that are for little kids so they don't cut themselves. Like, just the goofy stuff. Like, I get it. And a skilled operator can grab stuff out of there and make do, but they're going to look at you like you're an idiot for pulling that out. So I get it. And they're essentially just like fire extinguishers. They're just filling in for people who want to see it on a checklist. But in real life, all you care about is stop and bleed. And that's either a tourniquet by itself or, because you can improvise everything else, a tourniquet by itself or a compressed sterile gauze. So the way you stop bleeding with a penetration or a perforation, a wound that goes into you, like with a bullet or a stab or something,
You need to create capillary, whatever that's called. The smushing of I don't know what the term is, but you're smushing all those capillaries, all the little blood veins that got cut. When that's the whole trauma, is a bunch of blood veins got cut. You want to essentially squish those little straws. That's the whole goal of first aid. Is the first thing you want to do is crush all those little straws, and you don't do that by absorbing all the blood. So tampons, horrible idea. What you want to do is shove something in there that's going to fill the cavity and push against all those little straws that are open. Because all you really want to do is create those straws to get crushed, and now blood clots. Its goal is to flow or clot. That's why we're constantly fighting blood clots from eating and everything. Like, blood wants to clot. You crush those little veins or whatever, the little vessels, and it starts to clot. So a first aid kit is unnecessary. But when you're talking like a tourniquet, that just stops the flow of blood completely, lets a doctor go in there and do whatever he wants to do or she wants to do to that hole. But if you need to stop it from actually bleeding and the tourniquet ain't doing it, then you just need to go in there and fill it. So ideally, you're going to fill it with something clean and something that can create space. And that's where a gauze is perfect, because it goes in there and fills that cavity. And now you fill it with the sterile. And now if it's still bleeding, you can cram in your handkerchief, or cram in a chunk of your shirt, or cram in the tablecloth next door. Like, you can keep cramming stuff in there until the bleeding stops, but you started it with something sterile. So those two things is all you need. And then if you think you have time to put on gloves, feel free to carry gloves, but I think those are not unnecessary. But that's nothing. I guess I was ranting, like, start just carrying that stuff around. Just a tourniquet by itself. And I like the SWAT tourniquet, which is just a rolled up piece of rubber. It's just a giant flat rubber band rolled up. So for me, I got to worry about my little puppies, right? Like, if they step on something, if something bites them or something, some shark comes up and bites one of their legs off, I need to tourniquet that little baby puppy leg. A regular human tourniquet is useless. Like, I couldn't do nothing with that. But the rubber band kind I carry around, like, that'll help that little puppy or a little kid, no problem. Like, I could SWAT tourniquet anything that needs to be SWAT tourniquet on a little kid or little old lady. And that's the other thing I got to worry about in Arizona is little old people. I mean, I'm not running around constantly worried about it, but the reality is that if something happens in front of me, it's probably going to be some little old person and their little frail arms and legs. You don't want to be jamming giant tourniquets on there. I mean, I'm never going to be putting the tourniquet on old people, but you know what I'm saying? There's these little rubber tourniquets are pretty handy. There's about 3 different versions that are rubber, and essentially you're just carrying around a big rubber band, or a cat, which is probably the best tourniquet. If you get used to carrying it around, it is a little clunky, but it is the most effective. And if you're fat or you're hanging around people that are fat, you got to have a cat tourniquet. Like, nothing else is going to work. Well, I shouldn't say that. Much larger things will work, but a cat is the smallest thing you can carry around that's going to actually cut off circulation, maybe on your thigh or your upper arm. So you don't even have to just be fat. If you're like a bodybuilder or something, like, you better carry around a tourniquet that can handle your arm or your leg. All right, that's my tourniquet rant. But I think Cash won, so Cash wins. Did it change anybody's mind? You're going to think about carrying a tourniquet now? Think about carrying some gauze?
I'm very minimalist on what I carry on my person. Most of the stuff I carry in the car.
And I have an IFAC in my car, but I don't carry any specific gear like that, like in pockets or pants or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a lot to carry. It's one of those things where, again, if you got people around, if you're doing stuff, then it makes more sense. But it's one of those things, too, like carrying a gun. Like, you don't carry a gun, you think, oh, man, that sounds like a lot of work, blah, blah, blah. You start carrying a gun, you're like, oh, man, it's a lot of work, blah, blah, blah. After about, 3 years, 13 years, I don't know where everybody's at with carrying a gun. Guess what? After 13 years of carrying a gun, it ain't no work. Like, you're carrying a gun, it's no big deal. Like, I don't care. I got a gun in my pocket, big deal. But when you start out, it's a little bit different. So same thing with like a tourniquet or something. I'm sure it's the same thing with a phone. You know, we don't think about it now. Back in the day when we first got our first phones, we're like, ooh, I don't want to drop it. Ooh, I don't want to get a little bag for it or whatever. You know, I want to make sure I don't hurt my brand new phone. Now people are, got it on the edge of the toilet while they're trying to pee or whatever.
Can confirm.
Let's see. So now we got pen, paper / pliers.
I don't think there was much enthusiasm for Pliers, so I'd be surprised if Pliers wins. Anyone?
Pen and paper.
Me too.
Yep.
Not even an opportunity, not even the chance of an opportunity on any of these for the people viewing, watching live, for them to vote. So you all have the opportunity to jump in here, but these tonight, you're not getting much opportunity from the group. Will it change as we get into the more head-to-head stuff? That's the question. So far, everybody's assuming that Knife's going to win this thing, unless somebody out there has a different idea about what's going to take it all home. Let's see. You can't just roll into a 7-Eleven and get a chest seal. Well, and you can improvise a chest seal at a 7-Eleven for sure. Antibiotics. I don't know why you put that in here. What were we saying about get antibiotics on here? And then Krabby voted pen. So next up is lighter versus handkerchief. I think these are a pretty good matchup. I'd say about equal number of people carry both.
That is a good head-to-head, and I'm already predisposed to carry the lighter because I'm a smoker. So maybe I'll lay out or pass this one to the audience.
When I smoked, I always had my Zippo, but now I don't carry a handkerchief, but I carry one of the blue shop towels, the real thick paper towels.
Mm-hmm. No, that counts. I think that counts a lot because you can easily just, I'll throw this on there. I'll pick up that dog poop with it because you care less. You'll get another one. It's not like fancy thing that's all sewed up and buy them 6 at a time or whatever. Gizzard?
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I don't carry a lighter, but at any given time, I've got a paper towel on me somewhere. It's kind of weird. I've just always got one stuck in my pocket somewhere.
I don't know. Do we count a paper towel? That's a little bit different. But I carry a lighter around. I just think it's worth having a lighter. I got a light, I don't know, just a million uses. Pulling something off of something, getting rid of a tick, melting. I melt cord all the time, like melting the end of 550 cord and stuff. So I'm going with lighter. And then I guess we're letting the audience, but the audience will only be able to tie it or not. So we'll ask the audience either way, but I think handkerchief just won that. Because all they can do is tie it or agree with handkerchief, right? And there's no one to break the tie. So then handcuff versus emergency number, or handcuff keys, handcuff keys or emergency numbers.
I'll say emergency numbers.
I will too.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem, especially if you got somebody who's at risk. Get them some handcuff keys. They make plastic ones, sew them into the clothes. If you want them, get them, sew them into your clothes. They just exist there. If you ever need them, you can pick them out of there and get out of some kind of constraints. Because bad people are going to use what's easiest for them, zip ties or handcuffs. So they're going to have to be some level of sophistication to have handcuffs. But if they do, then doom on them, because anybody can get handcuff keys, and it's simple enough to stow them in your clothing or in your bag or whatever. In your bag, it's kind of pointless. You pretty much want those in your clothing. But the option there would be to get a shim, learn how to work a shim, so that, like, I don't know, just a more of a generic piece of metal that could be used for maybe other things. Anyway, a lot of people don't think about that stuff. I don't think about it constantly, but it is something that I think worth bringing up to people who, like I say, could be potentially at risk, just so that they're not wandering through life completely oblivious that the thing that's standing between them and getting away from a bad person is probably just a little tiny thing, like a shoelace or a little tiny piece of metal that they can shim their way out of something that's pretty standard. So everybody's saying lighter, and like I say, all that does is tie it. Any ideas what we should do with this now that it's tied? Roll a dice?
I like that. Dice roll.
I have die. Let's see. I got my camera going. Click on this. Make it bigger.
there is the dog for verification. He will make sure that we will roll one of these dices here. We'll roll the death dice right here. My favorite 6-sided dice. And evens will be lighter. Odds will be handkerchief. And this is officially sanctioned. Gizzard Gary dice rolling tube. What did I say? Evens is lighter. Odds is handkerchief. Odds is handkerchief. Evens is lighter. Boom. That's an even number. That's lighter. What did I just say? I think so.
Yep.
So, boom. Now we have...
Man, I need one of them dice cups. That is so cool.
I'll get you one of these next time I'm printing. I don't think anybody else has a printer going. Otherwise, I'd say I'll tell you the file. But do you know anybody that's printing up there?
Mm-mm.
I'll get my printers going here now that it's nice out again. It was so hot here. I didn't want to have no printers going. Knife. Oh, wait. Knife versus the multi-tool.
My multi-tool has a knife.
Yeah, well, if you're not carrying a knife and you are carrying a multi-tool, I don't think you get to vote knife. But that's just me. I'm just saying. But is knife going to win it all? Or is multi-tool the only thing that could take knife possibly out of the running? Because a knife is in a multi-tool, always. Is there a multi-tool that doesn't have a knife in it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there are airplane ones. I'll shut up.
There are states where you're not allowed, places you're not allowed to carry
right.
knives. So, yeah.
You are. And they do make them specifically for it. But aside from those kinds, aside from the intentionally neutered ones, most of the time, that's kind of part of the tool.
Well, my multi-tool is always on my belt in a sheath, in a leather sheath. So I can't really forget to grab it. So in case I do forget to bring the knife, I don't fret too much because I know I have one. So I've been carrying a multi-tool for years, so I'm going to go multi-tool.
And I've never been able to carry anything larger than like a Leatherman Micra was as big as I ever wanted to go with a multi-tool. But I kind of have to go that direction for the simple reason that, yeah, it does contain a knife and a couple other things as well. I sure hope I get to use those tweezers.
Well, that's the thing. That micro is a pretty handy one. And I think I have like a bunch of those if I'm thinking of the same one. And it was enough to be like useful and tiny. Like it was part of your keys almost. It was tiny, but it was still enough to be like, I need to pick that. I need to open that. I need to, I want to stick something in there, but I'm not going to stick my finger in there. Or like, wait, this is way too hot usually. Like it's way too hot to hold on to. I'll grab it with my multi-tool. You'd be surprised how often you can grab something that's way too hot. And it's like, oh, no worries. You just grab the pliers out of your pocket and you're picking it up. I think that's... Anybody else? Toss?
Oh, well, I don't carry a knife, and the little multi-toolish style thing I have, it's not like I said, looks like a little key, and it's never been flagged by security. So I guess multi-tool.
Oh, snap. So everybody's was saying I'm going to vote for knife just to be the alternate. But because I don't carry multi-tool. I did for a long, long time, but there's just too much. And I don't barely ever carry I carry the knife almost all the time, but if I forget the knife, I don't care. Because I've always got a knife within reach. The one in my pocket is just the one that's easier to get to or faster. But, I mean, every single bag I have has a knife in it. Every drawer I've got probably has a knife in it. So, or a screwdriver or something else that I need the knife that I can use instead. But going out and about, I can understand why you did multi-tools. But that kills everybody's idea who thought knife was going to win everything. Did anybody expect multi-tool to hit it in the second round?
Didn't even think about it.
Wallet versus a light. Wallet versus a light. I think we've already heard from the first round that some of y'all don't even carry a light.
That was me. Still don't. So I'll go the other way.
I mean, we all do carry a wallet. But, again, if you're going into the woods, you're carrying your wallet or you're carrying your light. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't say wallet. Just I do carry a light, but it's a small one that's on my keychain. But I'm going to need my wallet more often than my light.
In the woods?
Well, I'm not.
What are you buying in the woods?
How often am I going into the woods?
That was my example. If I was standing on the edge of the wilderness or whatever, I'd want such and such in my pocket. Yeah. I mean,
Let's say you
practical
get in
urban
your
carry.
daily. Let's say you get in your daily hovercraft commute to work, and you fall out of the hovercraft into the woods. Now you have to walk out of the woods. That's how you fall in the woods. What if your wallet or if your light is in your wallet? I think wallet wins it, though. Is anybody going to vote light with me? I don't remember who was last. So I guess wallet. Cash versus pen and paper. She fires out there. Good evening.
Cash for the hard goods, cash for the soft goods, cash for the button hooks.
Cash is king. I'll go with cash too.
I mean, I carry a pen in my wallet with cash, so they're kind of next to each other all the time. But the only pen I carry is in my wallet. It's one of those. It's a Fisher Space pen, actually, but it's the kind that like the back comes off and it plugs into the front, so it's kind of small, and then it opens up into a full-size pen. So I can cram it in my wallet and it kind of disappears in there. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I need to sign something. And then it's like, there's no pen. And I'll be like, oh, wait a minute. I do have a pen.
I keep one in the car. I have Mitsubishi pens. Because I used to have a Mitsubishi.
Oh. Now, what about Chief Fires had a chat earlier. I guess next week, they're going to talk about personal safety, right? Personal protection, personal safety. And I don't know, this might apply to next week, but carrying around a pen, one thing for writing, but the other part of carrying around a pen is that it's a pen. It's not a knife and it's not any kind of karate weapon, but you can get stainless steel pens and you can get like a Sharpie, which, I mean, a Sharpie, the butt end of a Sharpie, like a non-working end of a Sharpie, that's an effective thing if you know what you're doing with it, like a very effective thing. And what about that element of a pen being a multi-tool in effect with essentially like a get off of me, like leave me alone type of implement?
Yeah. It's an abbreviated stabby stick for sure, man. Not bad. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, you can hold a pen and just have a nub of it hanging out, right? But you own that pen. There's no way for anybody to grab, like think of a Sharpie marker. You're holding it by its cap, let's say, and you just got the butt end, however much can stick out of your fist or whatever. Yeah, you jab that into an eye, an ear, a neck, anywhere you're jabbing that. No one can do anything about it except get jabbed and leave you alone, pretty much. I mean, hopefully leave you alone. But, rubbing that on something, anywhere there's a bone that's right underneath the skin, you start jabbing that into. You don't even have to be like a ninja scientist. All you got to do is start jabbing people with that. And, yeah, it's not a knife, and nobody's going to care. Like, nobody's going to go, I can't believe she carried around a Sharpie, or I can't believe that guy jabbed that other guy with a Sharpie a bunch of times. Like, nobody's going to care at all. They're just going to be like, oh, great, I'm glad you found something that you could defend yourself with. I think the only negative from that ever is that some of you say, see, you don't need a gun because as long as you have a Sharpie, it's all you need. But that's about the only negative I could think of. Well,
and it came up just because we were talking about Sharpies, but a couple of years ago, I became aware of particularly people who were trying to get around TSA stuff, and they would put sharpened carbon rods in black Sharpie markers and have them filed down to a point just like the Sharpie itself would have been. And so it's totally incognito and it doesn't show up on. I'm not telling people to do this, right? But I ran into that. It was like, that's rather ingenious. So.
Sounds like prison weapons to me.
No doubt.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the way to think about it. I mean, essentially. Roy is saying, seems like the panel is thinking mostly about urban survival where everyone still cares about money. I'm thinking more of like without rule of law type of thing when I consider my EDC. I agree. Like, you have I just think, think of the biggest thing you're in, like a giant building fish market, somewhere you're in a fish market or something. Nobody knows nobody. Like a couple of people know each other in that giant fish market or the grocery or, some kind of swap meet or something. Like a couple of people know each other, but for the most part, it's everybody for themselves. Something happens, something crazy, and it is everybody for themselves. Let's get out of here. That's the kind of thing I'm worried about. Like if I get stuck in the middle of you ever had a fire in a Walmart? You ever seen such a thing?
Uh-uh.
I forgot what caused it. I think it was somebody did it. I think it was arson. I wasn't there for it, but I went. Imagine, like the biggest of the Walmarts. I don't know if they're still called super Walmarts, if they have another name, but like they turned one of our Walmarts into one of those. So I was in there looking for dog food one time, and the dog. Well, I mean, I went in there one time and it was burned down, and then the one next time I went in there and seen it was the dog food aisle that somehow somebody burned down the dog food aisle. Like, I don't even know how that happens, but dog food must be flammable, I guess. But it essentially, think of like, the one aisle in a Walmart towards the back, essentially one of the aisles in the back was burned down, but the rest of the store was fine. That had to be chaos in there, like I can't, I've never been in a Walmart that caught fire, but I'm assuming that everybody is like, everybody for themselves. Let me get the hell out of here. Grab my kids, grab whoever, get out of here. Or whatever, but I'm just saying, I think it's probably chaos. And that's the kind of stuff where I'm just using that as an example of worst case scenario. Everybody gets weird. Maybe something worse where the thing that caused the fire blocked the doors. A tree fell down, it's windy, everybody's in a Walmart getting ready for the big thing, and then boom, a tree falls down, knocks something over, there's a fire starts, everybody starts freaking out. And, and then there's no lights, and now it's, that's the kind of stuff. Like, what's your wallet going to do for you then? I don't know if we're always thinking that, but that's what I'm thinking with EDC. Like, realistically, you're just minding your business, and all of a sudden you're in like the worst case scenario wherever you might be. Maybe at Costco. Can you imagine being in a Costco? Some kind of chaos happening? I think that'd be kind of weird. Because
I wouldn't want to deal with it.
Exits,
because that's at a time where everybody's sense of self-preservation defaults to herd mentality, and they just start jamming into doorways and trying to claw themselves out through it. Kind of reminds me of a Richard Pryor line about getting out of a movie theater. Yeah.
Well, there's another one, yeah, like a movie theater. Something weird happens in a movie theater, everybody starts getting weird because they're all jumpy or something, or again, a tree falls down and nobody knows what's going on, and it just gets crazy, and there's no lights. I guess that's the thing, right? Some kind of situation where there's no lights. People, I don't know if you've been in a giant building before without the lights on. You go in a giant building without its lights on, and that's creepy because it's daytime. It's daytime. It's noon. But when the lights went out in there and the emergency lights aren't on, you're just in a giant cave, and you don't know if there's something 6 feet in front of you, something dangling over your head. You're in a giant building. There's stuff going on in there. Anyway, lighter, emergency contact info.
Lighter.
When you fall over of cancer, are they going to know who to call about it? Or are they just going to light a candle? They're just going to light your Zippo, set it on your chest, walk away.
Like within reach, I have both a Bic and a Zippo. So it's kind of like wearing suspenders and a belt. I'm a safety man.
I'll go lighter. Then they can just make a funeral pyre.
So that's 2. Gizzard?
Oh, lighter.
Yeah, realistically, I'm going with lighter. But I do think that emergency contact thing is one of the reasons we do stuff like this, because that's a good point. And not enough people think about you're good to go. But when you stroke out, when you, I don't know, whatever happens, something hits you in the head, you don't have to necessarily be the victim. You can be the victim, right? You don't have to have done something wrong. You can just be minding your business, and something comes flying out of somewhere, and now you're laying on the ground and nobody knows who you are. You just want to go in through your wallet, and they're not going to be able to get into your phone, hopefully, right? Like, it's going to be locked. Unless you got something around your neck, maybe. Like, they're going to have to just start. Well, I guess they probably have some contact info when the cops show up. But if you're in a situation where the cops aren't the first person to go walking, going through your stuff, do you want them to stop when they find the contact info card, or do you want them to just start going through more pockets? So some of that, I think that's a great point. And it's not just for little kids, pinning their name to their phone number to their inside of their coat or whatever moms used to do. I don't know if moms do that anymore. Is that bad OPSEC now?
I don't know. You think that would still apply?
I mean, I don't know. Actually, I never asked anybody if they still do that. All right. So now we're on multi-tool and wallet. Multi-tool and wallet. This seems like a no-brainer. Now I kind of feel like I know what's going to win, but maybe I don't.
Multi-tool. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Where you saying maybe the panelists carry enough cash to be able to weave together a tarp for shelter and make a nice little ottoman and a couch to sit on, and then enough to burn. Like, then you burn the ones. Nobody wants those ones. Anyone voting for a wallet over a multi-tool?
I'm going to vote wallet.
Oh. So realistically, I don't carry a multi-tool hardly ever, and I do carry a wallet. So I'll vote for that, and then that way the audience can have some. Did Gizzard vote a multi-tool?
Yeah.
Okay. So that way the audience now can vote on something. So you thought that you weren't going to be able to vote in today's traditional bracket, but no, you're going to be able to vote. Go ahead. Watch has a fall detection thing, and it's a LTE. I don't know what that means, but that's pretty. I never thought about that. Your fancy smartwatches can tell when you stroke out, probably, and it'll probably be set to narc on you. Like, hey, my person fell down and he needs help. Roy voting for multi-tool. We'll go on to. Oops. What happened down here? I think I'm zoomed in too far. If it's okay with everybody, I'm going to zoom out to 400%. So we had cash and lighter. That's a tough one. Maybe. Cash or lighter?
I'm still going to go with fire, man.
Cash.
Gizzard?
Lighter.
Oh, snap. I'm definitely going with cash. You can always buy a lighter. I mean, I can't think of too many things where I need a lighter, and I can make fire a couple of different ways if I had to. Cash gets me past all that.
So when you get to that 7-Eleven in the middle of your local woods, so you can buy yourself a lighter, that'll be handy.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if I really needed a fire, I can make a fire out of friction. I can make a fire out of, like, 3 different ways that I don't need nothing. And if I got some sticks or some rocks or something, I can do it even faster. So, I'm cool without having an actual lighter. Plus, just like anything else, the lighter's going to work for a while, and then you got a flint and steel for a while, and then you don't got nothing. So, but cash doesn't cost nothing to carry around, and if you do find something, now you can start buying some. Hopefully, it's not $2. But looks like, well, are we getting anybody else voting out there? We've got the multi-tool wallet vote going, and all we got is one vote for multi-tool. And if this is a tie, then that's literally given. We are so gracious to give both of the semifinal runner-up, whatever these are called, votes to the audience, unlike a lot of chats, which this is all planned way ahead of time. It's all designed for the ratings, and the arguments are all scripted. Nope, we did it for real. So now you, the audience, the people listening live, not the people in the future. You're stealing this from the future, essentially. You're stealing the future away from them, or at least the ability to control the future away from them. You are deciding what the future will be by voting for the multi-tool wallet debate and or the cash lighter debate down here. While we're waiting for them to do all the work, does anybody watch the any of the 3D printing channels? Any of the 3D
used to?
Did you happen to watch the last one with Cody from Distributed talking to the guys from the 3D print thing that they do on Sundays? No, today's Sunday. The thing they do on Saturdays?
No, sir.
Let me go look if I ring a bell. Oh, what happened here? I'm not signed into YouTube. Who gets freaked out when you go to do something on YouTube and you're not even signed in?
Oh, yeah. Hate that.
Yeah, there's no reason for this. I didn't not sign in, so what's going on over here?
I only use a phone, so I don't think I've ever run into that.
It was because I opened up a stupid other browser I don't like, and I was accidentally going in from a stupid other browser I don't Now I'm going in. Has anybody said anything to alter our path here? We got lighters coming in all over the place. Multi-tool.
I see 2 lighters and 1 mention of a ham radio.
That would be for maybe like a 3-day, 30-day pack or something like that. I don't know too many people that are carrying them. Okay, the channel was... I think it was last night. But it could have been the night before. Defense Distributed, meeting with Out of Battery Live is the name of the channel I couldn't think of. So they had Cody on, and they had a pretty good conversation talking about the different court cases and stuff that are going on. He did a bit of a summary as to where code is, essentially. Like, is code First Amendment? And our perceptions as the gun community, at least this was what was pondered or challenged maybe, that our perception of computer code is that it is free speech. And we feel like, I think this is the consensus, the community feels that if they challenge computer code, they're challenging the First Amendment. And I guess Cody was saying, I don't know if he really said, like, and I don't know where we come up with that. Like, he certainly didn't suggest where that comes from. He just said that that's a phenomenon. But then essentially their point was that that's just our fantasy. Like, there's never been decided at any court that code is free speech. We believe it should be, and we think it is. But since it hasn't ever actually been decided, it's just our feelings about it. And it's just interesting. I haven't heard anybody else actually talk about it enough to actually bring that up before. So I don't know if that bothers anybody or if that strikes any kind of chord with anybody, but
it definitely strikes a chord with me because code is communication. Communication's protected. It's expression.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. I haven't thought around all corners of the situation, but yeah, immediately my response is pretty strong to that.
And I think that's what most people are going to say, right? But then the idea is that, okay, so we say this and they say that. So then they say, okay, so what is the code? Is the code that goes into this software? Just in general, without getting too detailed, 3D printing, you create the 3D file and then you take that 3D file and you put it into some software that interfaces it with your printer, because each printer is a little bit different. So sort of the translator or the whatever, it's called a slicer, but it's essentially a translator. It's going to take the file that we all use and we create in whatever software we're going to use. We take this file, which represents the mathematical data that represents the three-dimensional object, and we put that into a slicer software, which just takes that file and decides how it's going to interface with the printer, and then it prints. And, anywhere along the line, you can have an error or a problem, but essentially that's the gist of it. So Cody's point was that, okay, so if you just know that general mechanism that, there's the file and then there's the slicer file and then there's the printer, what's the 3D print file? Is it the first file? Is it the second file? Is it the first file and everything that gets printed from it? Is it only specific things that get sliced from it? Is the 3D file that's banned and then the sliced file is okay, so those can be sent? And that's, he was using that to describe that this isn't cut and dry. We can't just say this is the way it is and that we're going forward, this is the way it is, because of the system we have, because of the way the nature of people and stuff. We're always going to have this fight. We're always going to have this challenge, this debate, this defense of liberty, right? And I'm summarizing, but essentially, I just thought that was interesting. It was a great conversation to have where we take some stuff for granted, where we're not even realizing that we're taking it for granted, and it's probably a disservice to ourselves because we're assuming we're kind of united over here and we're good to go. He was talking about some company that, oh man, I probably would remember if I thought about it really hard, but one of the companies that everyone assumed was going to, Odyssey, the Odyssey video file place.
Mm-hmm.
They're always like, hey, go work with Odyssey. We're an alternative to YouTube. Well, whenever they were challenged with, hey, give us, whatever the challenge was, something like give us all your usernames or something, they were like, yeah, sure, here's all the usernames. And everyone was like, what? You're supposed to challenge the government and not give them? And they're like, we never said that. You were the people who said that we were going to do that. And again, that's sort of what they were talking about last night, is just what we assume and what is reality, and what we can take for granted and what we shouldn't be, to our, what's to our disadvantage to be taken for granted. Anyway, just a good conversation. If you're interested in a real 2A conversation, it's a little weird listening to these guys, because I don't know, their jargon, the way that they talk is very, I don't know, just different than I'm used to. So it's a little tough to get through some of it. It's not that it's technical. It's just that maybe they're all on Reddit or something. Like, they all have some common little jokes and shit that I have no idea. It's like listening to people who know sports. They'll laugh at something because it means something to football players or something, and I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So something like that. There was a few elements of, I don't know what they were talking about, and it wasn't 3D printing. It was some other Reddit shit or something. So it's a little weird to listen to, but for the most part, the concepts were cool, and it was cool to hear a conversation with people who were actually paying attention to big picture stuff and kind of getting past some of the details, just to have that kind of big picture, like, which direction are we going? Like, is there a way to go together? And they're very open source, which I dig, because I really think the future of Second Amendment advocacy is going to be open source. Problem is, you need a whole bunch of people who are down with open source to build it and get it going so that it becomes the norm, because right now, open source is just words for people. They don't realize what that's all about, mostly, for most people. So we got lighter, lighter, lighter. I'm guessing lighter wins this one. And did Multi-Tool win the other one?
It didn't. It should.
And this, what Roy is saying, that this one dude got kicked off, blah, blah, blah. My opinion of people that cry when they get kicked off. I'm usually less sympathetic, because usually the people that cry aren't trying to get back on. They're trying to profit off of the falling off part, or getting kicked off part. And essentially that's what Cody, I don't want to try to, because I don't know the people, but I understand the nuance, the dynamic, that somebody got kicked off in a community and they're saying that YouTube is out to get them, and half the people are like, fuck off, and the other people are like, oh no. And Cody was sort of a in the middle, like, the dude knew what he was doing, and now he's doing this and he doesn't want to do that, so he's not allowed to stand. You can't jump off the iceberg and then complain that you're in the water. Like, either stay on the iceberg and sink, or jump in the water and shut up, but you're not allowed to act like you got pushed off the iceberg. I mean, I'm using bad examples there, but essentially he had a good opinion, or a good way to summarize that. And it sounded like the group, what did I call that show? Out of Battery. I don't watch it enough to know I know some of the people are there all the time, but it's kind of like watching Gizzard show. Gizzard's always there. Probably Snob is there, but the other people are, I don't know if they're regulars or if they're just there for the night or what. So some of the people on there, kind of shut up really fast when Cody said what he said about that channel. I don't think they were expecting it. They were just like any other group on YouTube. They expected to be, YouTube is wrong and they shouldn't do this and it's not right. They expected that kind of response. And instead he was like, the guy is an adult and he's complaining and he jumped off and he's the one complaining, or whatever. Like, you can't have it both ways. Either don't jump off or you don't complain, but you don't jump off and complain that you got pushed. But I'm summarizing it, I'm generalizing it. I don't know the person. I just thought it was an interesting back and forth, because like I said, I've seen that happen so many times, and it's just interesting to see it happening again in another area. It's like one of those things that runs through all groups in a community or something. Like, it's foundational. People are just gonna discover certain things no matter what we're doing.
I'm intrigued by all that. Thanks for the reco, man.
Roy's saying code is just lines as text, where I'll assume that it's protected under the first, but a lot of judges and politicians don't agree. Yeah, exactly. They either don't understand it, or they just literally do not agree that code is free speech.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that, because code is just communication. It's in a separate language, but and you were mentioning like slicers. I mean, that's the same as doing a translation. So it's like the origin language would need to be translated into other things for other people to understand it, and to have that be removed as not being communication. Instead, it's communication plus, just because it's like lines of computer code. I'm having a hard time disconnecting from it, though. So moving on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, oh, it's free speech in Russian, but if you translate it to English, now it's protected speech or some shit. Like, or vice versa. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we're down to multi-tool versus lighter. I'm assuming nobody saw this coming since everyone thought knife was going to win. So, is it even a no-brainer? Or is this an obvious one, or is this a tough one for anybody?
Multi-tool.
Me too.
Yep.
Wow. So I don't carry one, but if I had to pick one up off the table, I'm picking up a multi-tool. So essentially knife won. So kind of everybody was right. Kind of we're all winners. Everyone's a winner. So if Oprah did what she said she was going to do, she was going to put the winning implement underneath everybody's chair. So if you look in your pocket or in your backpack or maybe in the toolbox of your car or in your fishing tackle box or hiking backpack, I already said that. Maybe if you look in your bike, like your tool bag for your bike, I think that might be the only places that she would have put it. But anyway, you're welcome. She probably replaced your existing multi-tool with a very similar multi-tool, but that was free. So you're welcome. And it was done completely without you having to even interfere. So, we just went ahead and did that like a bunch of elves or fairies or whatever, and tiptoed in, changed out your multi-tools, tried to emulate your original one by putting the same scrapes and dirt on it, and then absolutely free, no cost for that. You're welcome. Thanks, Oprah, for doing that. I guess she said something about making some profits in Hawaii or something, so worked out really well for her. Now we're kicked off. Now I'll be copyrighted. I have a strike from September of last year that turns out after a year, they don't take your strike off. They just leave it there. So I guess I'll just have a strike forever now. I was sitting here for a year on YouTube with a strike thinking, oh, okay, at least in a year they'll kill it or whatever. I'll be back to no strikes. Nope, still got that strike.
No, you can go in on now and take a class to have it removed, I think.
Oh no, from like the safety council or whatever, you get to take care of one of your tickets.
Yeah, you have to take remedial training as to what you did wrong and blah blah. I had to do that on mine. And
Hillary provided it. It's Hillary Clinton, and she'll re-educate you with the way that you should do things on YouTube correctly, the right way. Everyone
Probably.
It's pretty nice. You learn a lot. Feel better when you're done with it. All right, well, so everybody gets free multi-tool. Now, a lot of channels don't do that, but we're able not just to know who's going to be listening, but also, again, we send people out to deliver those. So somewhere in your house, probably in a backpack or a toolbox, pocket or a pouch, you're going to find a multi-tool. You're welcome.
yeah, I found mine.
There you go. Because there's proof. With that, how many multi-tools do you think you got off the top of your head? How many multi-tools? Who's going to win the how many multi-tools? I'm pretty sure I'm going to win because y'all don't collect multi-tools.
I have like 4.
That's pretty good.
Does that Swiss Army knife count?
No, because I can't count my Swiss Army knives. I bought Swiss Army knives from, what do you call that? The TSA one time, so I haven't.
Well, then I have 5.
I have 3. But
okay, then I definitely
2 of them are for giveaways.
Oh, snap. So, when you do content creation, multi-tools can't be beat. You can compare them. You can use them. They're great for EDC videos. They look great next to other stuff. So they're the perfect prop. They're the perfect tool, really. Do y'all have a favorite multi-tool or one that you would get maybe?
Well, the one I carry all the time is a Leatherman rebar.
Rebar. Is that a bicycle one?
No, it's kind of the updated version of the original pocket survival tool, except all the tools lock back on it and stuff, but it's very similar in design, just a little more beefed up. So that's kind of why I like it. It reminds me of my original PST. It's just improved.
Okay. Because I thought they made maybe I'm thinking of the ratchet. But I know they made some ones that were for bicycles. They had like wrenches and stuff in them.
Oh. Nah, it's just a classic molded tool with the locking tools and the pliers and everything.
I had a pair. Remember when Radio Shack was still a thing? Radio Shack had one that I think it was the one DJ's talking about. It was just a keychain style. It was really small, but it had don't remember what the model is anymore, so so long ago. But very well made, like super nice Leatherman. Opened up into pliers, but the pliers were wire strippers. So they're small, but they were a really good set of sharp wire strippers. And the very end of the tip was a little bit of a plier for twisting wires or whatever. And then it had scissors in there. You can unfold the scissors, and then knife and files and stuff. So that one to me was probably the one that if I had to just carry one forever, it would be that one, because I use that wire stripper a lot. But if you're not stripping wires, then I could see why that would be less appealing than whatever. So would you rather have, or if everybody's done talking about their favorite one, would you rather have pliers or scissors or something else in a fold out or whatever, open up type of multi-tool?
I've liked having the pliers option, but I've used them less than I've used the scissors, starting with my first Swiss Army.
The one I keep here at my desk has scissors on it, and they are handy. I will say that. But I'm kind of weird. I've got the one I keep on my belt, and then I've got one I keep in my backpack that I carry, and there's one in the toolkit of the Jeep, and then there's one I keep on my desk. So I stash them in, strategic places where I run into. So at any given time, I've got 2 or 3 I can get to.
No, I'm down with that. That's, I think, a good way to do it, because they're that kind of tool. They're, you can kind of have it all the time, but they're never the perfect thing for what you're doing. But yeah, I'm a fan of having both for sure. I like to have scissors in the handle somewhere. Pliers is the main tool, but I definitely appreciate having both. Those little sharp scissors are so handy. All right, well, that's right about 2 hours, and probably an hour longer than it needed to be. We'll continue to host these on Sundays to just do some, the traditional Sunday bracket. Bracket that everyone has done since the beginning of time on Sundays as a get-together. We can do some other topics or different styles of brackets, which I'll continue to poke around at and play with. I've invited people who do brackets on the regular, like Never Enough Ammo and stuff, but he didn't jump in. It's too late for him. And we didn't talk enough about politics, probably. But if I can, next time I'm in one of his chats, I'll bug him about some other bracket stuff that he might, some bracket tools. So we'll attempt to have conversations about interesting things. You can be part of that by recommending some topics. There's Gizzard. Oh, that's bigger than I thought.
No, he has small hands.
Well, that's true, too.
But that's got a belt clip on it, or a pocket clip, I guess?
Yes, this particular one does. This is the Gerber Suspension NXT.
Yeah, maybe if Gizzard would get a bunch of shelves and then get tons of chicken figurines on those shelves, then Matt would show up. Oh, yeah, those look pretty stylish. Is there something going on the handle, or is it just the scissor handle?
That's just
Is there some other tool there too, or no?
Well, yeah, there's can opener, bottle opener, right there.
I think it's just how you pick. I think it's just the fingernail thing to pick it out. I just thought that maybe there was another tool on the end of the scissor handle.
Oh, no. And then the knife blade is on the other side. Combo blade like you like.
Yeah, I'm a fan of those, especially on something like that where you're probably going to be cutting rope.
Yep. You never know what you're going to need, so Phillips screwdriver if you need that. Little bit of everything. Spring-loaded pliers.
Those can be handy.
When you're one-handed, yeah, they're very handy.
When you don't need it, it doesn't matter, and when you need it, it's the bee's knees. So I'd rather have it than not have it.
Yep.
Worst case is that it eventually breaks. Like all of them will eventually break, and then oh no, there's a little piece of spring steel jammed in there. Great. Well, we'll wrap it up. Anybody want to plug anything? We'll just won't make anybody do anything, but if you want to, feel free to plug it. Now is the plug-in portion of the show.
Yeah, there are very few Tuesday amphis left before it just turns into a book club after number 300. So swing by the Guns and Barbecue channel, see what's happening there. Sundays, she said She Fires was out there in the crowd. She does a fireside chat on Sunday evenings. Swing by and check that out. Saturday evenings, before Foss does his thing, Brooke Cheney does hers on the A Great Start Shooting School channel. All the S sibilants got to me just then. So I see everybody again. Be safe, have fun, carry your guns, and rock.
Right on. Brooke is doing a class on Tuesday and Wednesday for people that want to learn about the Connecticut laws, how to deal with them, and what's all happening. So if you're interested in helping out, the Great Start Shooting School, check that out. You can watch her latest video from earlier today for some info on that. I'm trying to find this so that everybody can see just how excited the puppy is about everything that's going on tonight. So you've managed to keep the co-host over here completely excited about everything we're doing here. Have you been able to hear him snoring this whole time?
A little bit.
Does that come through on the microphone? He's not snoring super loud, but he's only this far from the microphone. So, yeah, we'll end this one. Thanks to Foss for putting a link to our store. We've had
I spelled it wrong.
Is it?
I put a semicolon in there.
But we have a scroll going down here. The dog's watching it right now. It says our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like these. Yeah, there's like no need for this. There's no reason to bring a bunch of Second Amendment advocates together, or at least attempt to, on Sundays and Wednesdays. But I went to Gun Rights Policy Conference, well, at least AmCon this last year again, a couple weeks ago. And they do it once a year, and they're satisfied with it. And I've heard, since its inception, I've encouraged them to do more than just that get together. And ever since 2017, when the AmCon started, and I've had this idea that it would be great if Second Amendment advocates got together on a more regular basis, I've attempted to facilitate that, to either encourage it or host it or suggest it or whatever. So this is another evolution of that. We'll continue to go live on Sundays and have this bracket. We'll go live on Wednesdays for a bit and host a game night. So if you want to join us, start scheduling in a Wednesday evening game night. And it's a way for people to get together who are in the Second Amendment community. Like, I could care less about getting people together in the gun community. I'm glad they're out there, and, guns and shooting sports and hunting and collecting and awareness and, all that stuff will bring us together. But advocates are special. Advocates are fragile. Advocates are poor. Advocates are often doing this stuff on their own dime and their own time. And for those reasons, they're often left hanging and neglected. So what I'm trying to do is create some places that are safe spaces where a puppy can fall asleep on the keyboard and this mouse, and he keeps messing with stuff on that other computer because of it. But he can feel safe to do so in this environment. And Second Amendment advocates can come in and we can chat about whatever it was, dad jokes or food trivia, or I've got that MTV movie or MTV music trivia from the 80s. And we'll just have some fun. And then, guess what? After chats, they're allowed to chat and catch up and, just talk. So the events that we go to are often somewhere that cost money to get to, take time away from our jobs and our families to get to. So when advocates go to these events, they're there for the event and then they go home. So there's very rarely is there time built into the whole event to just get together and hang out. I know that the TriggerCon, was it TriggerCon that had a portion of it where they just had a get together intentionally, like they set aside the time. I know that Fire on the Prairie, was it Fire on the Prairie?
Thunder on the Prairie.
Thunder on the Prairie. You guys had the opportunity to get together and just chat as friends at the event, off hour, after hours, and that kind of thing. So, that's what we're trying to do here, is create a virtual opportunity for that. And we'll start doing that on Wednesdays and Sundays. So put it in your calendar, join us. If you don't get a link and you'd like to be part of it, let me know and I can send you a link. It's not open for everybody, but it's a place for, again, a safe space for the Second Amendment advocates to get together, meet each other, they all probably have seen each other or said hey to each other, but this is an opportunity to just hang out informally and then to collaborate. So with that being said, thanks to our Patreons. That's where I started this whole thing. They're the ones giving us time. This might not be nothing, but if it starts something awesome, or if it gives, I don't know, one of the multi-million-dollar organizations the idea to do it and do it right, then awesome. Then you all did that. What did you all do also? You all bought donuts for the people at AmCon the other day, but I also enrolled in that Connecticut class. I wanted to let the Patreons know that Patreon funding right there is bought a slot in the Connecticut class, and we'll give you a feedback, some kind of sit rep after we're going to go on Tuesday. So after Tuesday, we'll give you a sit rep of what's going on with Connecticut. So thanks for the chance to do that. And I'm going to throw up a link to our gear website store. Look how excited the puppy gets when you hear him talking, when he hears somebody talk about the gear website store. That's where we sell stuff. So anything you purchase over there helps us do our thing too. So we do appreciate it. Foss does a show on Saturdays. He doesn't talk about it very much, but almost every single Saturday, except for the 1 or 2 Saturdays that he didn't do it, he goes live. Gizzard goes live every Friday, and DJ hangs out with the shows he mentioned, the Tuesday show, the Saturday show, and the Sunday show. This is creepy. And this one is kind of gross.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Patreon, or to Patriots. So before we end it and go to Patriots Ninja goodbye, anyone want to venture a guess on which AI robot that created these creepy, delicious photos? The hint is I'm paying for that robot. This is paid level quality.
Chat GTP.
I do pay for that one. ChatGPT could suck it. They could not do this quality, so it's not ChatGPT. Anyone else? I mean, ChatGPT is good for the words part, but the drawing part, the images, almost always below. Usually when I put some really basic, dumb images up, those are from ChatGPT. At least I haven't figured out how to get Chat to do good images. I know
Crayon?
Crayon is the same one, I think, but technically it's accessed differently, but that's one I was using. Did I ever pay for Crayon? Technically I am, because I'm paying for the one at the bottom, I think, but no. It's actually, I don't know if DJ's going to try to guess, but it's Adobe. So Adobe has AI now. And it's Blue Willow is another one that used to do this level quality, but Blue Willow looks a little bit more like a Dungeons and Dragons all the time. Like I usually use Blue Willow. I recently got kicked off of Blue Willow because I don't want to pay them. But I'm replacing it with Adobe. So this is the Adobe Crazy Robot Brain. I don't know what to call it. Robot chips. Anyway. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but that's Adobe for you. And then this is for Patreon.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.